So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome back to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover that day's newspaper in a very short span of time within 20 minutes. Now, first of all, before starting the lecture, I would like to apologize to you all because the current affairs haven't been regular for the past 3-4 days. But I would also like to assure you that the current affairs that we have missed for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday will be covered in a single lecture in the near future. The reason why we couldn't cover those lectures was because of a minor technical glitch, but all the technical glitches have been sorted out now. So our lectures would be pretty regular from now onwards. Okay, and the current affairs that you have missed so far for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday would be covered in a single lecture. All right. Okay, so now from now on, we'll be pretty regular. Today, we are going to be covering Thursday's current affairs. Thursday, September 12th, 2024's current affairs. Okay, and the important topics from that day's newspaper are as following. Okay, so here's a look at the topics. These are the 4 topics that we need to focus on because these are the topics that are important from the perspective of civil services examination. Though other news items also featured in that day's newspaper, but we need to zero in on our focus on these 4 topics alone. All right. So topic number 1 is expansion of Pradhanmantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Government of India's health insurance scheme for the poor has been expanded. Now senior citizens are also covered under this. So we'll cover this. Then there was this controversy related to the environment, okay, regarding Mumbai salt pans. Because housing projects are being planned on Mumbai salt pans, but this would have severe environmental consequences. So, what are these Mumbai salt pans? What are their ecological services? We'll talk about this. Then, again, a news related to the environment about Amazon rainforests. So, Amazon rainforests, what is their contribution towards preventing global warming? We'll talk about this. And in the end, Ministry of Commerce and Industry has taken a decision regarding extending anti-subsidy duty on steel pipe imports, especially from China and Vietnam. So the steel pipes being imported from China and Vietnam are going to face taxes, strong taxes. Okay. So what is this issue all about? Why is the government taking this step? We'll talk about this. Okay. All right. Now let's start straight away jump to topic number 1, which is expansion of Pradhanmantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Okay. So the Union Cabinet recently cleared the expansion of Ayushman Bharat Pradhanmantri Jan Arogya Yojana to provide health coverage to all senior citizens aged 70 years and above, irrespective of their income. Okay. Look, Government of India has been running the world's largest health insurance program called Pradhanmantri Jan Arogya Yojana. But under the previous Jan Arogya Yojana, senior citizens, those who are aged 70 years or above, were not covered. Plus, the families that were eligible for this health insurance scheme were poor families. Okay? But now, senior citizens above the age of 70 are covered under this new scheme, irrespective of their income. So, their income doesn't matter. They need not be from poor families, they can be from any economic background. All right? Currently, the scheme is income based and provides rupees 5 lakh shared annual coverage to all members of eligible families. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the new features of this scheme and then we'll talk about the earlier features. Okay, how Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana was before this announcement. So, what are the new features? 5 lakh per family annual coverage for all persons aged 70 years and above, regardless of economic status. Additional shared annual top up of rupees 5 lakh. So, additional 5 lakh coverage for 70 years plus members of families already covered by this scheme. So, families who are already covered under Ayushman Bharat Yojana, if they have any senior citizens who are 70 years or above, they will get additional 5 lakh coverage. Okay. The scheme is to benefit 4.5 crore families with 6 crore members in 70 plus age group. Now, every eligible family gets this Ayushman Bharat card. Okay. And this card provides you 5 lakh per family per year for health expenses, secondary healthcare, tertiary healthcare. Okay. Now let's talk about Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Okay. So it was launched in 2018 and it is the world's largest health insurance scheme fully financed by the government. It offers a sum of 5 lakh per family for secondary care and tertiary care. So surgeries, hospital expenses, all are covered. So 5 lakh is given per family. Okay. It is an entitlement-based scheme that targets the beneficiaries as identified by the latest socio-economic caste census data. So remember, Not everyone is covered under this health insurance scheme. Rich people already have health insurances. It's for the poor people, and these poor families are identified as per the latest data from SECC. The eligible beneficiaries are estimated to comprise the bottom 40% of India's population. Now, the entire cost of this scheme is shared between center and states. So for normal states, 60-40 ratio is there, 60 is center, 40 is states. All right. For northeastern states, Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal and Uttarakhand, it's 90-10. 90% of the expenses are actually given by center, 10% by states. And for UTs that do not have any legislature, like Chandigarh, Daman and Diu, 100% funding is going to be done by central government. Also remember the fact that this scheme is implemented by National Health Authority, NHA, which is an autonomous organization registered under Society Registration Act. All right, that's about it. Okay, let's move on to topic number 2, which is Mumbai salt pans. So what is the controversy? Why Mumbai salt pans are in the news? First, we'll talk about this. Then we'll talk about what are these salt pans. Okay, so earlier this month, the center approved the transfer of 256 acres of salt pan land in Mumbai to Dharavi Redevelopment Project Private Limited. Now, this DRPPL, it is a joint venture of Adani and Maharashtra government. And the task given to Dharavi Redevelopment Project Private Limited is to provide housing for slum dwellers. Now, these housing projects would be constructed on 256 acres of salt pan land in Mumbai. Now, this has invited criticism, especially from opposition parties. They are saying that the government is harming the environment to benefit the Adanis. All right. Obviously, Adani Enterprises is now a political entity because it has raised so much political controversy. So, opposition parties and the ruling parties both mention Adani Group. That is why this project is brought into question. All right, but political parties might criticize this project because Adani's name is involved. But environmentalists are criticizing this project because they think that salt pans need to be preserved and there should be no massive development projects on these salt pan lands. Okay, now what are salt pans? So these are pieces of land which are low-lying areas. So low-lying that seawater during high tide flows into these areas and then returns back. And when it returns back, it leaves back various minerals and salt. Okay, so they comprise parcels of low-lying lands where seawater flows in at certain times and leaves behind salt. Now, as per coastal regulation zone CRZ notification of 2011, okay, as per coastal regulation zone notification of 2011, salt pans are designated as CRZ1B area. Now, CRZ1B areas are those areas where no economic activity is allowed except for salt extraction, like here you can see, or natural gas exploration. But the controversy is that Mumbai's salt pans, lie in this area CRZ1B, but government is allowing housing projects to be constructed over this. Now, this is problematic. Okay. Now, all over India, there are 60,000 acres of salt pans. Okay, 60,000 acres. Some are in Maharashtra, some are in Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Odisha, Gujarat, Karnataka. Okay, so nationally, there are 60,000 acres of this land. Okay. Now, what is the importance of salt pans? Why these salt pans need to be preserved, and why are environmentalists talking about preservation of these salt pans? And why are these environmentalists opposing development of housing projects on this? Look, salt pans along with mangroves stop the city from flooding. Okay. Plus, they also host a variety of species of birds and insects. So these salt pans are important for biodiversity. Plus, these salt pans also provide an ecological service, and that ecological service is that whenever Mumbai faces heavy rain, these salt pans actually prevent flooding of the city. Because the heavy rain water gets accumulated here and it does not flood the city. But if concrete is built over these salt pans, then these salt pans won't be able to absorb excess water and the city would get flooded. Okay? If the salt pans are covered owing to construction, it might lead to flooding of the city during heavy rains. Now, one more important fact that you need to know, as I mentioned before, that in total there is 60,000 acres of salt pans all over India. But the state that has maximum salt pans is Andhra Pradesh, followed by Tamil Nadu and then Maharashtra. Okay, so remember this ranking also. Andhra Pradesh has the maximum salt pans, Tamil Nadu the second maximum, second most, and Andhra Pradesh the third. All right, okay. Now let's straight away jump to topic number 3, which is Amazon rainforests. Now, why are they in news? First of all, let's take a look at the news. So, scientists agree that preserving the Amazon rainforest is critical to combating global warming. Okay. Why Amazon rainforests are critical to combating global warming? Because Amazon rainforests are quite thick. They are the thickest forests in the world. Okay. And as you all know, that plants capture carbon from the atmosphere through a process called photosynthesis, right? So a lot of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is captured by these plants. Okay. Now, if these plants don't exist, if Amazon rainforests are wiped out, then these plants won't be able to capture carbon from the atmosphere. Then the amount of carbon in the atmosphere would increase. This would exacerbate global warming. Right? So they say that thick rainforests like Amazon act as carbon sink. Without them, the amount of carbon in the atmosphere would increase dramatically, which would increase global warming dramatically. Okay, so we need to protect Amazon rainforest. Some of you guys must know this already, that Amazon rainforests are also known as the lungs of the earth. Why do we call them the lungs of the earth? Because during photosynthesis, these plants capture carbon dioxide, but they release oxygen. So the amount of oxygen that earth has, a lot of contribution is done by Amazon rainforests. And that is why they're known as the lungs of the earth, because we need oxygen to breathe. Okay, so we need to protect Amazon rainforests, but nearly 40% of these Amazon rainforests are not protected. Okay, they have not been given any status of protected area, national park, or wildlife sanctuary, nothing of that sort. 40% of these Amazon rainforests are unprotected. Now, this study was done by Amazon Conservation's monitoring of the Andean Amazon project, MAP project. Okay, now, why are the Amazon rainforests so significant? As you can see over in this map, Amazon rainforests actually cover a lot of countries in South America: Brazil, Bolivia, Peru, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana. All right. So Amazon rainforest spans over a lot many countries, but they're very important. Now, MAP published an analysis last month showing that Amazon contained 71.5 billion tons of carbon, roughly double the global carbon dioxide emissions of 2022. With climate change becoming a reality, the Amazon becomes one of the most valuable assets for planet's health, as I mentioned before. Scientists say that if the Amazon becomes an emission source, if you cut most of the forests in the Amazon, then Amazon rainforest would emit carbon dioxide rather than absorbing it, and that would be a problem. So we need to maintain the status of Amazon rainforest as the carbon sink, because if our Amazon rainforests are no longer carbon sink, then that would create a lot of problems. Okay, so that's the issue. What satellite data shows? MAPS analysis shows that 61% of the peak carbon areas in the Amazon are protected as indigenous reserves. So 60% of Amazon rainforests are protected, but around 40% aren't. Okay. In Brazil, Suriname, French Guyana, only 51% of the peak carbon areas are labeled for preservation. Peru protects a higher proportion of critical areas, but some of the areas that have been left unprotected have been marked for logging. Logging means tree cutting. Okay, so it is a problematic situation. We need to draw our attention to this issue because it is pertinent or important from the perspective of Earth's health. All right. Okay. Now let's jump to an economy related news. Okay. Anti-subsidy duty on steel pipe imports. Now, this anti-subsidy duty is also known as countervailing duty. Okay, this tax is levied on imports, especially from areas where the government feels that those countries which are exporting those things to India are giving the governments of those areas are giving heavy subsidies to these factories so that they are able to sell cheap products in India. So to actually finish the advantage of these subsidies, to make these products expensive in India, government actually levies a tax, which is known as countervailing duty or anti-subsidy duty. So Ministry of Finance has extended the anti-subsidy duty on imports of welded steel pipes and tubes from China and Vietnam for another 5 years. And the reason cited by the government is that these products are causing injury to domestic industry. See, what happens is, I'll explain this to you in detail. What happens is that, let's suppose steel pipes. These steel pipes are used in variety of industries, right? Now, these steel pipes are manufactured in India. Okay. They're also manufactured in China. Now, the thing is that the Indian steel pipes, the steel pipes being manufactured in India, let's suppose they cost around 100 rupees. Let's suppose. All right. Okay. Now, those factories which need these steel pipes, they would buy these steel pipes from factories in India who produce these steel pipes, and they are going to buy these steel pipes at the rate of 100 rupees. But they have another option. China is actually selling these steel pipes at only 70 rupees. Now, let's suppose I have a factory which uses these steel pipes as a raw material. Now, where would I buy these steel pipes from? Definitely, I'll buy it from China. And because most of the factories in India would buy steel pipes from China, steel pipe manufacturers in India would get injured, would have to bear losses, right? Now, this is okay. But after further investigation, government finds out that the reason why China is able to sell these steel pipes at such a low rate is that Chinese government gives a lot of subsidies to their factories manufacturing steel pipes. And because of these subsidies, these manufacturers are able to sell these steel pipes at 70 rupees. Okay. And that is why Indian government doesn't provide any subsidy, but Chinese government does. And that is why China is able to sell these steel pipes at 70 rupees. And that is why Indian industry is getting harmed. Make sense? So what does Indian government do? So Indian government actually levies a tax of 30 rupees on these Chinese pipes. So that finally when a factory owner in India buys these Chinese pipes, he has to pay 100 rupees. Now he has a choice to buy these pipes either from India or China, and it's a fair competition between these factories, right? So now this 30 rupees is known as anti-subsidy duty or countervailing duty, because if this duty is not levied, then domestic industry in India would get injured or would have to bear losses. Okay. Now, this follows a recommendation from Directorate General of Trade Remedies under Ministry of Commerce to continue countervailing duty. All right. So the recommendation to continue countervailing duty for another 5 years was given by DGTR. The duty was initially imposed in September 2019. The industry, the factories in India that manufacture steel pipes, they also said that various goods are being brought in India from China through Vietnam, because India currently has a free trade agreement with ASEAN countries. And to take advantage of free trade agreement, because under free trade agreement, India does not levy any duties. Chinese pipe makers are bringing their goods first to Vietnam and then exporting it to India. So that is also problematic. All right. Now, about DGTR, what this DGTR is. It is a quasi-judicial body that independently undertakes investigations before making its recommendations. It recommends on administering trade remedial measures to remedy the trade distortion. Like I mentioned before in the previous example, that was trade distortion. Chinese pipes are 70 rupees, Indian pipes are 100 rupees because Chinese government is providing subsidies, right? So this is trade distortion, and to remedy this, DGTR actually recommends remedial measures like countervailing duties, anti-dumping duties, etc. Remember, DGTR comes under Commerce Ministry. All right? And with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I hope it added value to your preparation. I will actually make a series of lectures today. Okay? This was the current affairs from Thursday, September 12th. Today only you'll also get current affairs from September 13th, Friday. Okay? Because we have to cover the backlog also. So I hope it has added value to your preparation, and the other subsequent lectures would also add value. All right. So I'll see you in another lecture on current affairs from September 13th. Thank you, everyone.